y'all, welcome back to Christy's cooking channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Philly cheesesteak calzone. This is going to be a collaboration video with Lyle at No Hippie Barbecue and Cooking. The theme is Philly cheesesteak, so he's going to do his version and I'm going to do my version. I've never made anything Philly and I've never made a calzone, so this should be an interesting experiment. Like always, I'll put all his information in the description box and also link an iCard so you can check out his version of his Philly cheesesteak. Now, as usual, I'm going to bring you in closer so you can actually see how I prepare it. And I'm sure Lyle can't wait to talk about how country I sound, even though I don't even think I have an accent. Okay, now to make the calzone dough, I'm completely going out of my comfort zone because I always use my bread machine. But I'm going to use the America's Test Kitchen Cookbook, and I'm going to use their recipe for their calzone. Obviously, I'm not doing the filling, but I'm going to use it for the actual calzone itself. Now, their recipe calls for using the food processor, which is what I'm going to do today. I have 2 cups and 2 tablespoons of bread flour. I have 1 1/8 teaspoons of instant rise yeast. I have 3/4 teaspoon of salt already in the processor, and I'm just going to pulse it a few times to combine it. Okay, now the next step is to add a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and 3/4 cup of ice water while the processor is running. Alright, just want to make sure it forms into a ball, which this has. The total time was about 30 seconds on the processing. Now it says to let it sit in here for 2 minutes and then to process it another 30 seconds. Okay, now the recipe calls for placing it on a lightly floured surface, but normally I can get away with just using old gloves, so I'm going to go try that route first to see if it works out. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and use some of the sayings and place some in the bowl here. Just coat it well. You just want to knead the dough for about 30 seconds. Yeah, the old gloves work perfect. That sayings has such a delicious flavor that it just makes any dough taste extra delicious, so definitely use it if you have it. Alright, just going to cover it with plastic wrap and let it sit for about 1.5 hours. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and slice up some onions and jalapenos. I don't like bell peppers, so of course you can use bell peppers if you like. These are out of our garden here, the peppers are. I believe some of them are serranos and some of them are jalapenos, but I can't remember what I planted. And I'm just going to just chop them up. I'm going to leave the seeds in. And the onions, I'm just going to slice them. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is just add a little of the sayings. Or a lot. I have 2 12-ounce containers of the white mushrooms that have already been sliced and they're already pre-cleaned. I'm going to add a little Worcestershire sauce. Some pepper. until all the liquid is pretty much cooked out of the mushrooms and the onions, which it has. You can cook them a little longer if you like. They smell so delicious, I could just take a fork and just dig into it now, but I will wait. Alright, now for the meat I'm using, I just bought a 1.7 pound top sirloin, and I asked the person at the meat department to slice it thin for me, which they did. I know authentic cheesesteaks usually have a ribeye, but again, I'm not trying to be authentic. Just making my version. I'm just going through just to make sure there's no pieces that need to be cut. I think this will be pretty good pieces right here, so I'm not going to go over and cut any other pieces. It kind of looked a little thick in the packaging, but I think this will be perfect. So I'm just going to leave it like it is. I'm going to go ahead and season it with salt and pepper. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put some sayings in there. Smells absolutely delicious. Ugh. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and let this sit to the side while I get the dough ready. Okay, I went ahead and let the dough actually rise for almost 2 hours. And it looks a little sticky, so I will use a little bit of flour. You want to go ahead and kind of punch it down. It's a very nice dough. I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half, and I'll place the other half in the bowl with the wrap over it, plastic wrap. You can hand form it if you like. I just am used to rolling out dough, so that's how I'm going to do it. And as usual, it's not going to be perfect. Just trying to push out the edges that feel a little thick. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just transfer it over to this parchment paper, and I can reshape it if I need to, which I'm pretty sure I will. Alright, it's definitely not a circle like it should be, but it's going to have to work. I'm going to go ahead and lay down some thick sliced provolone. Luckily it's stretchable, so I can always stretch it. I have the oven preheating at 500 degrees. I'm always overfilling, so I'm sure I'm overfilling this also. Alright, I'm going to place 2 more thick slices of provolone on top. Alright, I'm just going to stretch it over it as best as I can. Like I say, the dough is very stretchy, so that's a good thing. It's not going to be the perfect looking calzone by any means. Okay, I forgot I'm supposed to go around the edges with the egg wash. This is 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of water, and a pinch of salt. I'll try to make a prettier one next time. Alright, let's try this again. You hear the rooster? He wants some too. And I'm just going to pinch it together. They had theirs done all fancy, but I'm not fancy at all, so I got a little more dough over here than I should have. Maybe I'll trim that off. You got to modify as you go. Alright, I'm going to cut some air pockets in it. And last thing, I'm going to go over it with the egg wash. That rooster. Oh my goodness. It's a young rooster. He hasn't quite learned how to crow properly. Quite funny. Alright, and once I get the other one done, I'm going to cook it for about 15 minutes. And again, I didn't take my time at all, so obviously if you do it at home, yours will look a whole lot prettier than mine will. Okay, it says to let it cool for 15 minutes on a wire rack, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now normally I just use a silicone mat in my pan, but I don't think it's rated for 500 degrees, so that's why I went ahead and used the parchment paper, which is also what the recipe calls for in the book. Alright, now I didn't let it cool the 15 minutes you're supposed to. No surprise to anyone who watches. I rarely have time to let anything cool for recording. But I'm going to go ahead and just cut into it. And it's still hot, of course. I just want to thank Lyle at No Hippie Barbecue and Cooking for doing the collaboration. It was a lot of fun. You have to excuse the mess behind me because I did just get done cooking, so haven't had time to clean yet. For my first calzone, I'm pretty excited how it turned out. And it is still really hot. Haven't had time to let it cool yet. But I do want to give it a taste. It's so cheesy. Oh, my favorite. Let me let it cool for just a second. Alright, I didn't forget my napkin this time. Oh my goodness. That's so good. Well, I'm so happy I made extra filling as far as the steak and mushroom and onions go, because I'll be definitely making this again tomorrow. There you have it. Thanks a lot.